Welcome inside the lanes at Coffee Creek. Welcome inside the lanes at Coffee Creek in Owasso, Oklahoma for the Stepladder Finals of the FloBowling PBA Wolf Open. I'm Lucas Wiseman alongside PBA Hall of Famer Kris Barnes for the Stepladder Finals tonight. It's going to be an interesting finals. We've got Player of the Year implications, and we've also have players going for their first PBA title. Our opening match features Tommy Jones against Darrin Tang. The winner of that match will get Andrew Anderson, the leader on the PBA Tour points list. And then the semifinal, already into the semi, is Christopher Prather, and our top seed is Anthony Simonsen. Kris, what have you seen out there? Who do you think might have the best chance to take on this title today?
Well, obviously the leader's always got the best chance. He only has to bowl one match, and Anthony's been the picture of consistency this year. And after a really slow start, his first two games, since then he's been pretty dominating. It's hard to bet against him.
And we also have Player of the Year implications here tonight. Andrew Anderson, currently your points leader, with Anthony Simonsen in third. This could play into the picture. It won't really clear up the picture, though.
No, it won't clear up the picture. With the U.S. Open being the final feather, if any one of these three players were to win the U.S. Open along with E.J. Tackett, it would certainly tilt things in their favor. But with Andrew already leading and in kind of a neck-and-neck race with Jason Belmonte, it's kind of a coin flip. This would tilt things in his favor if they were to draw out from there on. Anthony Simonsen pretty much needs to win here to get himself into the race.
We also have two guys who are trying to win their first PBA title, Christopher Prather and Darrin Tang. What do you think the nerves are like for them tonight?
Well, there will be some nerves, but honestly, anytime you haven't been on a show for a few months, those nerves are there anyway. But Kris they both have TV experience, and it's recent, fairly recent, especially for Darrin Tang. I expect them to be ready to go from the get-go. But for Darrin, unfortunately, he's one of the most experienced TV guys on the PBA Tour, and Tommy Jones.
And then we've got Tommy Jones, of course, you just mentioned him, 18 PBA titles. You would think he's a surefire Hall of Famer when he becomes eligible in another year, but probably the most experience of anybody on this show.
Well, for sure, and he's got one of the best TV records of all time as well. Ironically, as of late, he makes it throwing urethane almost all the time and playing right of third arrow, when all those titles at the beginning of his career were left of third arrow. He has a pretty good look. It seems like watching practice, but this was the lowest scoring pair that these guys bowled on the entire week. Anything could happen.
So we're gearing up for our Stepladder Finals. We're going to have more here on the oil pattern that we're bowling on tonight, as well as the opening match between Tommy Jones and Darrin Tang right after this.
Competition. The number 5 seed finished second in the Roth-Homan doubles with his brother Michael from San Francisco. Please give it up for Darrin Tang. In our first match, he'll be bowling the number 4 seed, the 2002 PBA Rookie of the Year, the 2006 PBA Player of the Year, 18 career titles from Simpsonville, South Carolina, Tommy Jones. Our number 3 seed won his first career title when he captured the big one, the 2018 USBC Masters. He has 2 career titles in all. From Holly, Michigan, please welcome Andrew Anderson. You've seen our number 2 seed on the Pro Bowlers Tour. His best finish is 3rd place. He's looking for his first career title. From Plainfield, Illinois, Kris Prather. Our number 1 seed needs only win 1 game today to become the 2018 PBA Wolf Championship. He's the youngest player to win the USBC Masters at age 19. He has 4 career titles. From Austin, Texas, Anthony Simonsen. These are your 5 players in the 2018 PBA Wolf Championship Finals.
the booth here at the lanes at Coffee Creek. And there's Darren Tang as he is kind of waiting the instruction, a thumbs up. And like we said, Kris
Ladies
Barnes,
and gentlemen,
course,
let's give a hand
in
for
the booth here
Darren
with
Tang
me
as he
tonight.
throws out the first.
Darren made a show earlier this year with his brother, Michael.
Yeah, one of the great stories of the year was bowling with his younger brother, but taller brother. They made a great run through match play, made the show, and then all the way to the title match.
So you'll see the players are playing the lanes pretty far right, and that's pretty typical for the fresh on this pattern, which is the Wolf pattern at 33 feet.
It's 33 feet. It's a little different build than what we've seen in the past. It plays like there's much more oil at the end of the pattern, and so it's a much heavier run, and there's much more volume there. So it's urethane's still in play, but it's a little trickier to use. Obviously, these guys have found a way to make it work for at least a game or two. I think it's going to be very difficult for one of these guys to make the run all the way through, because I think you'll have to switch from urethane at some point, and making that adjustment will be key.
And here's our first look at Tommy Jones. That's shreds the rack right there. Sends that head pin across the deck, and that's pretty solid from Tommy. He made a push in the last two games of qualifying this afternoon to even make it to this show. He ended up shooting 270, 260 the last two games and found his way in. So I would imagine that gave him a little confidence coming into tonight's stepladder.
Well, 140 over your last two will do you a lot of good. Although by then it's game 5 and 6, much more transition, much deeper on the lane. So this is more like where he started. He did start with I'm going to say 210 and then 260 today on the fresh. And so, he has a pretty good feel for what he wants to do here early.
Second frame, Tommy Jones working on a strike, turns it into a double. Kris, do you have any idea or any thoughts on what we might be looking at in terms of what would take to advance in this match in terms of a score? Are we looking for a higher scoring match or a kind of a grinded out match?
Like I say, according to Lane Talk, this was the lowest scoring pair. The players did not average 200 on this pair for the tournament, with a few games to go, I guess. So it's been a tricky pair, especially this right lane, and I think you'll see both players playing further right on the right lane than on the left lane. You saw Tommy he looked like he was almost half a zone left, probably 3 to 4 left with his feet at least on this left lane than the right lane. Both players, though, basically having no trouble early on getting their ball to read it the right way.
Yeah, so both players with a double to start. You saw the graphic for Darren Tang there just a moment ago. 3 regional wins for Darren Tang. So he does have some experience getting into the winner's circle. You can see the pitch black there from Storm, a urethane ball that he's throwing. And again, both players with doubles to start. And that's a decent shot, but those 10 pins, they can be a little pesky, especially throwing those urethane balls sometimes.
Yeah, it's always tricky. The urethane, what it does best is it blends the lane out. And this pair is a little bit different. The 2 lanes, both front to back and left to right, and so it minimizes those inconsistencies, but you give up some carry angle. Darren is one of the players that's gotten very good with urethane. His other show that he made as a singles, where he bowled his brother, he also used urethane on that show.
Yeah, it had been a couple of years since I watched Darren Tang bowl in person, and his game has really advanced here in the last couple of years, it looks like. He's very, very solid.
Yeah, he's become a very good bowler. He could always throw the ball well, but he's gotten much better at moving around, touch, making the moves, and seeing the moves quicker, and that's been the biggest difference for him for sure.
Kris, do we know what ball Tom used, though? It looks like a urethane ball.
It's a purple hammer
Purple hammer.
so it's a urethane ball too. Stronger of the 2 ebonite options.
A little bulk there from Tommy. I wonder if you heard somebody in the crowd or what's going on there. It's, when we get into these stepladder situations and there's no other noise in the bowling center, any little thing can make you stop. But
the thing that always gets you is strange noises.
Yeah.
And the thing about when you're bowling on TV is that so many of the noises that happen every day are white noise behind the natural just background.
Yeah. Somebody
that you
drops
never hear.
something or something that can really throw you off. Here's Tommy looking for 3 in a row and the lead, and almost a little bit of an awkward 4-10 there, but the 4 fell
A
late.
ringing 10 with a
With a 4.
trip 4.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well,
Not sure what to make of that one, are you, Kris?
no, I mean, you can only say that there might have been something off spot there. And with these GSX machines, that it's not, you really have to work to keep them, as much play as we've had and as much bowling as there is. It's easy for the pins to get a little bit off. I didn't see anything offhand that looked bad, but you just don't see them fall that way if they are. So a ringing 10 with a trip 4 is really odd.
Tommy's taking a little break here to put some tape in the spare ball. We have noticed that some of the racks across the house are a little unkind, I will say politely. It looked like they did try to tighten up some of the racks on this pair before we got started. But
it's certainly improved.
It's improved, but maybe not perfect.
But yeah, I mean, things happen. And then both players with pretty good shots, though, and both leaving, ultimately, both of them leaving a ring 10. You take out the trip 4, it's just an average ring 10, and frustrating.
Yeah, and we're all tied up now.
Part of everyday life on tour. So
we talked a little bit about Tommy Jones in the Open, and he's had a great career. He's won a lot here on the PBA tour. He's done some absolutely incredible things for Team USA in the past in terms of helping in pressure situations win titles. I know you've been a part of that a lot, Kris, but he delivers a lot of times when he needs it.
He's the best clutch player, of this generation, of his generation, my generation, whatever. And he had a stretch there where he's injured, and he wasn't quite the same. But even then, he's still the best clutch player, and he's proven it over and over again. Last week, all of us were at the ITRC in Arlington, and we're at Team USA camp where Darren was with Tommy and I, and impressive young group.
Here's Darren looking to keep the match even and almost a pocket 7-10, leaves just the 10 pin. One thing I've noticed walking around the last couple of days is quite a few 7-10s in this house. We actually looked at the numbers at one point yesterday, and it was abnormally high. Did you notice that as well?
Well, I noticed my carry wasn't very good, but that's normally what happens when you're not making the step ladder is you're not getting it to go through the pins right. But yet, it's an odd thing because it's a short pattern, but it plays very slick in spots. And you notice, especially like on this right lane, the big thing to watch here is how much better the ball shapes through the pins in the last 20 feet of the lane on lane 19 versus lane 20.
So pretty close match here through 4 frames. Tommy Jones with a 1-pin lead on Darren Tang. And Darren Tang's made a couple of shows in recent years. And I think the interesting thing about the last 2 shows that he's made is that he made them both while his brother was on the show as well, with his brother bowling with him in the doubles event earlier this year. And then in 2017, Darren finished 4th at the USBC Masters, and he lost to his brother, Michael Tang, in that match. Michael, of course, in the stands watching, and he's bowling this week.
Darren will tell you that he was the one that carried Michael to that doubles show. I think Michael bowled pretty good on the show, but Darren was doing all the heavy lifting on Friday night to get there. Or a couple of pretty good shots. And like I said, now Tommy Jones standing up with a 1-pin lead, a chance to bring it to 11 with a strike here.
Yeah, and Tommy looks pretty relaxed and calm, as you would expect from Tommy. He's been in this position so many times that, he's got so much more experience than Darren and any of the other players in the field. That one comes up a little light, leaves the 2-pin.
Yeah,
looks a little disappointed in that one.
And that's just what that lane does. You miss the little spot in the front, and it gets so much tighter the last 20 feet. on top of with urethane, for somebody like Tommy who's used to, has been used to watching his ball make it back from pretty good spots his whole career, the adaptation to be able to throw urethane and keep it in front of him is, it's a great example of how players evolve.
Yeah, and it looked like, based on Tommy's body language there, he probably didn't feel like he threw it that bad. He was just off by a pinch, and that really is all it takes, especially when you're throwing urethane.
Yeah.
I would think that you don't have a tremendous amount of margin for error.
Yeah, I think it fooled a little bit and a little bit on him. And like I said, there's so much oil at the end of that 33 feet that with urethane, it does not absorb it, and it pushes it. It doesn't flare as much either, so it's rolling over that same flare spots, or lack of flare spots, same track, and so you're creating a considerable amount of carry down. Pattern now is stretching into 34, 35, 36 feet here pretty quickly.
Another great strike there. He carries that one.
That was a little left.
Yeah, he gets that one to carry this time, and Tommy with 109 in the fifth, strike up in the sixth. Darren Tang with an opportunity here to take the lead with a strike.
I've seen multiple players miss that pin left on this pattern this week. I think that one he was a little scared was going to get away from him early.
And here's Tang, chance to take the lead.
It'll move right.
And he gets it a little right, and it
Yeah.
comes up light, leaves the 2-8. And a missed opportunity there for Darren Tang to move into the lead in this match as we are right about the halfway point.
Yeah, it looked like he moved a little bit right with his feet, and then, like you said, he got it going to the right. And the difference between the really high-scoring pairs and the not as high-scoring pairs, when 2-3 hooked a little bit, those were pretty good pairs. And when 2-3 had some little wobble, like it looks like this lane 20 does, now you're forced to get into a part of the lane that's considerably flatter, and it's really easy for the ball to jump out of the little slot that you can see developing around that 6, 7, 8 spot down the lane.
So we're 6 frames in now. We'll recap the score for you. It's really nobody pulling away in this match. We've got Tommy Jones at 109 in the fifth, strike up in the sixth, and Darren Tang at 108 in the fifth and a spare in the sixth. So a 1-pin lead for Tommy Jones after 6 frames as Darren Tang steps up and looks to make a little better shot here in the seventh. And a pretty similar shot to the last frame. Not sure what happened there, but he left the 8-pin.
I'm going by reaction only, but I think he liked that one. Shot before, I think he knew when he got it going to the right like that, on that lane it wasn't going to make it back, but this left lane, pretty much all the shots have made it back.
So what would be the adjustment after that?
Well, you basically have 2 options at that point, is to soften up a little bit or catch it more, which effectively the same thing depending on what you like to do, or you can move your feet one right. I would tend to move one right. These 2 guys most likely are just going to hit it harder.
Yeah, and they've got that much hand. Maybe hitting up on it a little bit might be the right move, and you would think that Darren's probably, no shortage of adrenaline here on bowling for his first title. So
at this point, he's settled in a little bit. I think he's all right here.
Tommy
but I don't
has
think
a real
Tommy
opportunity here to stomp on him.
He doesn't want to let him off the hook again.
Tommy Jones up by 2, looking for a double to push it to 12. Comes up light. So this is 3 or 4 shots in a row between the 2 players that we've seen come up light. And that's you're starting to see a trend there.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. This pattern's just stretching out, and it's 33, 35, 36, 37 feet now. The ball's getting lazier and lazier, hooking a little sooner, pushing a little bit more down lane, especially on this right lane. And that's exactly what Tommy, I've bowled with Tommy forever. And
yeah,
he wasn't going to move right, but that was a little softer, and he got after it a little bit, and it started to make the move, and then got to the back, and literally just kind of backed off of it. It didn't finish the move there. So,
well, as we know, every shot that goes down the lane changes the pattern just a little bit.
Either makes it better or it makes it
Yeah,
worse.
and generally, how does urethane affect a pattern like this versus reactive?
It stretches the pattern much more, because generally speaking, reactive flares a lot more, so you're just picking oil up off the lane. And with most of the urethanes do not flare that much, which means you're actually picking the oil up and then laying it back down as the ball with each revolution, and so it stretches out the pattern pretty quickly.
Tommy Jones looks like he got that one a little right again, and at 2/8 this time. I'm not sure that was a shot he was super happy with, but does he need to make some sort of a drastic move here, you think?
Not drastic, because of what they're doing.
Before we get both bowlers needed.
All right, so Tommy is staring down that 2/8 conversion attempt here in the 8th frame. And we're pretty even right now. Even match, assuming Tommy makes this.
There's no gimme here. All right.
Gets it done.
Yeah, I think he missed right a little bit, but there is considerable carry down going on for sure. And he's going to have to either really make it hook or he's going to have to move to the right a little bit.
So Tommy Jones is with a spare in the 8th there. And we're pretty even here if assuming that Darren Tang can throw a strike.
I think
Here in
this
the
is
8th.
going to be pretty good here.
There it is.
And that's a move to the right and just get firm and just keep it on line. I think maybe the worst thing for Tommy that happened there was that Tommy threw it decently on the left lane and it didn't hook also, and that's a reaffirmation that that Darren needed to move.
So now a big opportunity here for Darren Tang. If he can strike here in the 9th, he can take the lead by 10, and he cannot be shut out.
Puts him in the driver's seat for sure.
So this is the biggest shot of the night so far for Darren Tang, and you better believe he knows it.
It's great news for him to strike in the 8th because now I know he's made the right move for the 10th frame.
Strike here puts all the pressure on Tommy Jones. Comes up light again. Another light shot out of these players, a 2/8. And yeah, I'll let you have my own thoughts about what happened there, but I'll let you give us the expert opinion, Kris.
No, I imagine we're probably thinking a lot the same way. I think he made a little move right and got firm with it, and he just blew it right by the spot that time.
It looked like he just blew it through the break point.
A little steep, and that's his miss. I think every top player has one, and that's the one that gets away from him just a little bit on occasion.
And he just does make the spare.
You know, but what that spare tells me is that maybe he didn't miss that first one so much after all. He thought he might have missed it too, and the spare didn't hook either. So
the good news for Darren Tang is that he's right in there. This match is even. The bad news for Darren Tang is that Tommy Jones is one of the best closers in the history of the sport.
I think he just missed his chance to win.
Yeah, and so you don't want to give Tommy Jones a chance to step up 9th and 10th and shut you out because he generally will do it.
Huge shot here, though, for Tomic. If he doesn't strike here, Darren can triple and win.
So here we go. Big shot. Tommy Jones.
Slower, handful of it.
Yeah,
right there.
Yeah, looked like he threw a little slower, got a handful of it, and then, and it finished perfectly, and that little adjustment seems to have worked on that lane. We'll see if it works on the
Tommy
left
for
lane.
20 years, and the number of times he's moved right is I can count them on one hand. And for the money, that's not ever going to be his move. It's going to be a couple more and get after it.
So max score here for Tommy Jones, 227. Max score for Darren Tang, 217.
This one makes Darren double in the 10th.
Tommy Jones needs a double here in the 10th. 2 strikes for the shutout. Oh, and the 4-pin. Look at it go late for the big strike for Tommy Jones. What a great break for TJ.
Good, clean living.
We talk about him being a great closer. I'm not that sure that that's what we mean, but he got it done, and that's all that matters.
Well, the thing is, I think he made his best shot there, and it's still this lane hooked considerably more at the beginning of this game, and it's playing catch up in a hurry right now. So
that one was nice. This is a big one.
This is a winner.
He can lock it up with a strike here and just a pin on the
anything
on the
less than a strike, Darren can throw 3 strikes and win.
So here we go. Tommy Jones. Strike to advance, and he gets it done. One of the best closers in the game, shows you why he is known for making shots like that. Tommy Jones is going to advance into our next match.
Taking no chances here. This one's going down the middle.
Just needed 1 pin and gets all 10. So 227 for Tommy Jones, and he's going to advance to take on Andrew Anderson in our next match. A great performance by Darren Tang to make the show. You know, it's tough to take down a guy like Tommy Jones, especially if you give Tommy an opening like that, and that's what happened.
Well, they both got caught in transition in the middle of that game, and that's what was going on all the way through qualifying as well. There wasn't a ton of really big opening games, with the exception of Bill O'Neill yesterday. And if they did, then the second game was kind of a mess. And made some pretty good moves, but neither one were able to really capitalize. Tommy got a key break there, the first one in the 10th, and pulls out a 227 to most likely a 217 win.
Yeah. And I'd say that's pretty on par with the scoring pace that we've seen on the Fresh so far.
Pretty high for this pair.
For this pair specifically, you're right. So your final score, 227-216. Tommy Jones defeats Darren Tang. And we'll move on to bowl Andrew Anderson in our next match. And we're going to head to break. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes with our next match coming up, Tommy Jones against Andrew Anderson. All right, we're back here at the lanes at Coffee Creek in Owasso, Oklahoma. I'm Lucas Wiseman alongside PBA Hall of Famer Kris Barnes. Nice to say Hall of Famer, not future Hall of Famer. Kris inducted into the Hall of Fame a little bit earlier this year. Big honor for you, right?
Yeah, well, it just means I'm older, I guess. No, I'm not sure. Yeah, kind of a little surreal because I still feel like I got some goals left that I want to accomplish out here, and obviously being Player of the Year or in the Hall of Fame was the ultimate of the bucket list, and so it's been a little different, kind of trying to goal set and do some of the things that I do to keep moving forward. But an incredible honor, and one that's put a lot of work in over the years to try and get there.
And before you know it, you'll be dominating the PBA 50 Tour.
I don't know about all that. We'll see.
Still a couple years away, right?
I'd like to. I'm gonna stick to this one as long as I can. So
you knew I was gonna get a jab in there eventually, right? Here's Tommy. You can see Tommy. He's wandering around looking for a ball or something. He's going for something in the bag. Do we know? I didn't notice if Tommy gets much practice between matches. I don't think he does.
He shouldn't get any.
Yeah.
I believe that we've gone back to the original stepladder rules where the player coming in gets practice shots, but the player who just competed does not get any more, which is at least a little bit fair.
So Tommy just going based on what he saw at the end of that last game, and he's starting the match on the left lane.
For Tommy to get there, he needs to win probably this game by a lot so he can get a couple of shots of basically lineup shots to whichever ball he might go to. Lots of players, I think Tommy in particular, would like to go to urethane or get out of urethane in Game 2, and in Game 3 be able to throw a reactive ball.
That one got away from Tommy on his first shot in this match against Andrew Anderson. He goes Brooklyn.
Yeah, that's what happens. A 33-foot pattern, your ball is too far left at the end of where that applied oil is, which is about 26, 27 feet, it goes left in a hurry. And then you get on the other side of it, and then there's tons of carry down. Basically, you imagine there's a little bit of shape there between 8 and 8 on the lane, 8th board and 8th board. But right now, there's a lot of oil getting shoved down between 6 and 9, and so there's a strip of oil now that's not at 33 feet. It's actually moving down into 36, 37, 38 feet. Now Andrews, he's gone with reactive here.
Yeah, Andrew Anderson taking a different approach. And it was a pretty good shot. Leaves the 7-pin. Andrew's having a great season. He has won 2 titles this year, including the USBC Masters, which is a major on the PBA Tour, and currently leading the points list. You can see there, 2-time Go Bowling PBA Tour champion, and also finished third at the Tournament of Champions. So he's got a good chance at Player of the Year this season.
But typically, the harder they get, the better he bowls. He is a stone-cold shot maker. He can do several different things and repeat it at a super high level. And the harder the lanes have been, typically, the higher he's finished. They were more tricky than hard here this week. So really the key for him is basically just getting it matched up. Once he gets it matched up, it's going to be pretty close from there on.
Chris, what does it look like Andrew's throwing out there? Can you tell? As a messenger comes across, takes out the 10.
It's either a web or a web tour. It's a new ball from Ebonite. The web tour obviously flares a little bit less. Other than that, I don't know a whole lot about that one.
Yeah.
It struck a lot this week.
Here's a look at the oil pattern here this week. Chris, maybe you can talk a little bit about this. 33 feet, 23.67 mils of oil, and high difficulty.
Yeah, if the gutter had hooked more, off the edge, the first, second board, the scoring level would have moved to moderate to even high scoring. But in this particular case, there were several pairs to where the gutter doesn't really hook, which really narrows down your room for error. You use the rule of 31. That should move your break point around the second, third board at the end of the pattern. And when the second and third board doesn't hook, that's why you see so much urethane and closed down angles and guys trying to find ways to make it roll forward off the end versus they're trying to actually get their ball to hook less and earlier to be it smooth off the end of the pattern.
Tommy trying to rebound after that errant shot on that lane last time. He still got it in, but it does strike for the double. And we're going to send it down
tough
to
match
Phil.
on a tough pair, but you kept it clean. You gave it everything you could against Tommy Jones in the opening match. What can you take from that stepladder game to use for the rest of this FloBowling fall swing?
I think I just got to trust my gut. Aside from that, I like what I'm doing, staying to my process, not really looking at scores much all week, and just got to bowl. That's all it is.
Good luck here the rest of this week.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good luck.
Oh, the tomahawk messenger comes across in front of the 10.
That had some pace.
It did. Thanks to Phil Brylow for that quick check-in with Darren Tang. I've seen quite a few messengers go in front of the 10 here these last couple of days.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you get sharper angles off the end of the pattern. There's ball coming in a little bit behind the head pin and sending it out in front.
So now it's a 10-pin lead for Tommy Jones as we are 3 frames in to our second match here in the Stepladder Finals at the FloBowling PBA Wolf Open. I'm Lucas Wiseman alongside PBA Hall of Famer Kris Barnes as Andrew Anderson steps up in the 4th frame working on a spare. It's a pretty solid shot out of Andrew right there. He very easily could have 3 strikes in a row now, but he looks like he's throwing it well. Ball reaction looks pretty solid early on here in this match.
It does, and for Tommy, he needs to take advantage here because Andrew's doing what he wants to be doing. Arcing it a little bit, being able to feed it to the right, know it's going to come back off of it, and so at this point, Tom probably doesn't want to watch a whole lot more. get his own picture in his head and keep it in front of him here for a few more frames.
Tommy Jones going to back off for a second there, and
Something
we
happened to the
noticed
right.
that Andrew is throwing reactive. Tommy's still throwing urethane. Is there going to come a point, you think, Kris, where Tommy's going to have to make a change?
Absolutely. If he gets through this game, he'll change next game. I'm about 85% certain. And so it's not only important for him, obviously he has to win for that to be in play, but if he were to win enough to where he could use a 10th frame as a lineup, sometimes to make the ladder, you have to have a few breaks and a few things happen your way. This may not be the right guy to get that opportunity.
Tommy Jones, messenger in front of the 10. That was a little bit of a slow messenger, but another messenger in front of the 10. And Tommy kind of liked that, but I think he'd like to see the ball finish it just a pinch stronger.
On that lane, you have to keep it a little closer to the head pin there. It can't come in from behind. Basically, no one's gotten away with that shot right now. It's consistently either ringing a 10 or the head pin in front of it. You're just not able to get that half pocket. Even that wasn't really a half pocket, just slightly light. Instead of 17.5, it's in the 16.5 to 17 range. 16.5, 17th board at the head pin range.
So we are 4 frames in. Tommy Jones leading by 9, thanks to the only double in our match so far. So this one still could go either way, as Tommy Jones again still using urethane, which urethane, Kris, has been kind of in vogue lately from the PBA Tour, hasn't it?
Well, what it's done, one of the things that's happened, he's struggling getting the ball through the front on that lane, is that basically anybody under the age of 30 has never bowled on a lane that wasn't fresh stripped for 20 feet. And so the amount of axis rotation, the amount of side rotation that players impart has gone up and up and up. But when you play straight, it's very hard to keep it in front of you when your rev rate's 500,
right? And
you have 6 degrees of axis rotation, and so urethane has become, the crutch, so to speak.
And a missed spare there by Tommy Jones, and just like that, Andrew Anderson is in the lead.
5-pin lead, chance to go to 15. But it's become a way for players to, especially higher rev rate players, to play the angles the lane's calling for, where you can cut down on the angles, you can blend out the lane a little bit while they're still hard at the beginning, without really changing a whole lot hand position or physical game wise to make that happen.
Look at Tommy Jones there and our excellent tournament crew: Kirk Von Kruger, John Weber, and Harry Von Kruger, watching the action. And a little bit of a light 10-pin there for Andrew Anderson. He had a chance to take a 15-pin lead. He will settle for a 5-pin lead with the spare here in the 5th frame, as we are at the halfway point of our second match in this stepladder finals.
Pretty good shot there. Andrew Anderson also on the national team. And
yeah, alongside Tommy and you. Andrew's on the Team USA. You guys just had your training camp a few weeks ago in Arlington, Texas at the International Training and Research Center.
The 3 of us, along with E.J. Tackett, Jacob Buttriff, and Kyle Troop, will be heading to Hong Kong for the World Championships.
Always a very important event for Team USA. Number 1 priority there, taking that 5-player team event home. Andrew throws a great shot in the 6th, and at this point, it looks like Tommy has got some issues on that left lane. Do you expect any sort of big change? I mean, is this the point in the match where maybe he goes to drops the urethane and goes to reactive? Does he need to make that big of a change?
He could. It depends on what he's done. He was on the other squad, so I didn't really get to see what and where his transition is, but I'm assuming this is a little bit where it catches, where the urethane gets in front of it, and then when it goes away from it, it's not going to hook nearly as much. He's still got it pretty good on this lane, though.
Yeah, he's looking good on the right lane. It's that left lane that's giving him some trouble, and You just don't know if he's just pulled a few shots on that lane, or if he's you know.
I think it's a little of
Not
both. I think
comfortable.
he has got it in.
Yeah.
But every shot is picked up really
It
quickly
has.
for him. Ever since the one went, basically the 2 shots went by it in the 10th frame. So
I would assume something is going to change on this shot.
right
for him.
here, he's gonna try and feed it to the right. I don't think he's gonna move for the left right here because of how tight it was in those shots in the 8th and the 10th frame.
See what happens. He is sticking with the urethane ball. Looked like a better shot, but what an awkward leave there. That was almost the 4-9-10. He ends up leaving the 9-10. Not a combination you see every day.
No, that's...
And that looked like a better shot out of him.
That was a much better shot. It got all the way out to, into the 5-board range, and the last couple shots haven't got anywhere close to that. I think he's pretty surprised that one hooked back off of it that hard.
Oh, he needs to make it. 9-10, not impossible. Just fit the ball right between them. See if he can do it. And he does not. You have to be pretty precise to make that one. And it's an unfortunate open frame for Tommy Jones on a bad break in the 7th frame.
2 opens now puts him really in a hole. And if Andrew is able to figure out something here, this will put him in a commanding position.
Andrew Anderson working on a strike. 7th frame, looking to extend his lead. Comes up light. Pretty fortunate to just leave the 2-pin. That could have been a 2-10 or a 2-8-10 pretty easy, so I think he'll be happy that it was just a 2-pin on that shot. But even with the spare here, he's got a 17-pin lead after 7.
Very easily. I thought he would actually move right and roll it up into it, and he opted to go left and catch it a little bit more, and it went flying by the breakpoint spot there. Well,
this pattern is proving interesting for our Stepladder finals today. It's been pretty interesting throughout qualifying, but especially today, a lot of thinking, a lot of strategy going on, and the players are having to earn it today. There's no gimmies out there.
Yeah, there's a reason why this pair has been one of the bigger struggles, and mostly it's not that the 2 lanes are necessarily hard individually. They're just much different from each other. And so
here's a nice look at the triple box shot. Andrew Anderson, a nice strike in the 8th frame on that left lane, leading by 17.
he got this one all the way out to the 2nd board, and I'm not sure he knew if that doesn't come back on all the pairs here. I certainly don't think he wants to do that on the right lane. That's probably asking for the 2-pin with friends.
So Tommy Jones making a ball change here. Looks like he's going to a reactive ball, getting out of the urethane. Kind of desperation move here for Tommy.
Strike out for 213, which might still be enough.
Look at that ball get all the way out to about the 1 or 2 board and come off that corner and into the pocket for the strike.
This is a much bigger core, much bigger cover all the way around. This is strong, strong, and strong compared to not quite as early as the urethane, or urethane is the earliest reaction there. It's also, the smoothest both front to back and left to right. But this is a big ball. This is for a reactive, it's an early rolling. It's going to be one of his earliest rolling balls that's not urethane.
Yeah, and you've got to get that ball right early.
That will be the key here, is it has to get going to the right quick, and then once it does, it has to come off of it.
So big shot here for Tommy Jones, looking for the double to cut the deficit to 7. And he gets it done. Pretty good ball change there by Tommy Jones as he puts a double on the board, and he's back in this match.
With a max score of 213, he forces Andrew. Andrew has to strike on this shot, or he can be shut out. And
yeah, Andrew Anderson can max at 230. Here's a look at Tommy Jones's reaction to that last strike. But yeah, 213 max for Tommy Jones, 230 max for Andrew Anderson. And this is a big, big shot for Andrew. And he buries it. It got in a little bit, but he buried it for a strike for the double.
difference in how players see the lane. I actually see the lane much more like Andrew does. I learned that at the juniors. He just rolled that for all of his worth. He made sure it was going to pick up and get started soon enough so it wouldn't get behind the head pin and leave another 10 pin. Was in a little bit. He was very close to the danger zone of that getting 3 pin, 3 6-10, 3-10 high.
Well, here's your situation. As we are now in the 10th frame, both players on doubles. Andrew Anderson needs a strike on this shot to advance into the semifinal. And he buries the pocket for the strike. And Andrew Anderson in good position here to move on and battle Kris Prather in the semifinal. Just needs a little count here.
Great reaction.
Yeah, look at the reaction.
He knew he threw that one good. That was right where he wanted it to be. He struck on this left lane. Now all 5 shots, obviously I think all the players are probably going to choose to finish on the left lane, the higher seeds that is. And there's a step left just to see what he can get away with. And he's very comfortable in this left lane. If he can throw enough strikes on this right lane, going to give them all they want.
I think Andrew Anderson continues to build confidence this season with his first 2 titles, and he looks as confident as ever. We are shooting 230, our second stepladder match, to defeat Tommy Jones.
And Tommy just went too reactive about 2 frames too late.
He did. And you knew he was going to have to make that move at some point, and he just didn't quite make it soon enough. And it's hard because he goes spare double to start.
He was striking on the hard lane.
Yeah, and and he couldn't quite commit to the change early enough.
It's a
which
big
is hard.
guess.
It's
a really big guess until the Open actually freed him up to. He had nothing to lose because he was going to lose anyway.
That's right.
And so it freed him up to give him a try, but alas, it was too late.
So Phil Ball here for Tommy Jones. And a good start to the week. There's still 2 more titles to be awarded here this week, and Tommy's off to a great start. But he will come up short, 230 to 191 here in our second match. The semifinal coming up here in just a couple of minutes. It's going to be Andrew Anderson against Christopher Prather of Plainfield, Illinois. Back live here at the lanes at Coffee Creek in Owasso, Oklahoma. We're just outside Tulsa, about 10 or 15 minutes from downtown Tulsa, Oklahoma, where we are at the FloBowling PBA Wolf Open. This is the first event of 3 this week at the FloBowling PBA Fall Swing. And we're going to have a little trivia question here for everybody. We'll give you the question now, the answer later. And which team won the 2018 PBA League Elias Cup? Is it A, the Dallas Strikers, B, the Philadelphia Hitmen, C, the Motown Muscle, or D, the Silver Lake Atom Splitters? And we'll have the answer to our trivia question coming up later in this match.
Who knows?
A few practice shots for Kris Prather and Anthony Simonsen, as Andrew Anderson will stand back there and talk to his ball reps. Actually, he's talking to Tommy Jones right now about that last match. And Kris, would you usually, if you're in Andrew's position, try to watch the balls go down the lane by the other guys just to see what they're seeing, what they're doing?
Maybe just a little bit, just to see if they're using surface, if they're playing where I'm playing, if right of me, left of me, that kind of thing. And maybe try and anticipate a little bit, but they're not getting a lot of shots.
Yeah.
And so I don't anticipate a lot of things to change, and certainly not.
Well, here's some stats from our Wolf Open. We've got 102 competitors in the field from 12 countries on 6 continents, and that's just for the fall swing as well. And then our average score of the Wolf field, 207.54 for 1,216 games bowled, and Anthony Simonsen, your tournament leader, 233.58 average. And our thanks to the folks at Lane Talk for providing those statistics this week. And they also are doing live scoring as well. You can find that link on PBA.com.
Really interesting stats that they have on Lane Talk. It's long term, that's going to be a game changer about how we look at things and what kind of stats prove to be important and where weaknesses are with both individual players and for the top players in general.
And Kris Prather still getting a few shots of practice here. You can always tell because the ball reps and Kirk are still standing around the ball return, and as long as they're standing there, we're not starting for score just yet. Yeah. So Prather getting a few shots of practice. Actually, Prather bowled against Andrew Anderson in a roll-off just before we started this step ladder to determine the seeding. So Prather actually won that match, earned the number 2 seed, and that guaranteed him a spot in the semifinal. Looks like Kirk is gearing him up to get started, and Andrew Anderson looks like he's going to start the match on the left lane.
In a surprise to no one. I mean, that's probably the big, aside from not having to bowl Tommy Jones to get to this spot, the big bonus, particularly on this pair, is going to be who gets to finish on the left lane.
So here's Andrew Anderson. We watched him bowl that last match against Tommy and starts off with a strike here. Ball reaction still looking pretty good here for Andrew Anderson. It'll be interesting to see what we get out of Kris Prather on his first shot.
Well, and I think Andrew's playing deeper on the lane, so I don't think anything that went down the lane affects him. Anthony may be a different story. Getting out of these first couple frames will be big for Kris. It's been a while since he's been on TV. No titles yet.
And we talked to Kris yesterday after the first round as he gets that ball right and just leaves a stone-cold 8-pin on his first shot. But Kris told me that he actually does not like throwing urethane, so you won't see him throw it too often. And so no surprise that he's throwing reactive here to start.
Well, and he's got some tricks too, and he's got the ability to get his ball roll much more end over end than a lot of players, and so he can control those bigger, stronger reactive balls. And by stronger, I mean earlier rolling reactive balls, and make them shape the lane and be a little more consistent.
So Prather picks up the spare. We do want to remind you to watch the 2018 U.S. Open, October 26th to the 30th, live on FloBowling. Don't miss a moment of bowling's best going head-to-head in one of the most challenging events in the sport to claim the coveted green jacket. We had a couple of players who withdrew coming into this week, Norm Duke and Pete Weber, both with injuries, and I talked to both of them for stories last week on FloBowling.com, and they both said they wanted to get healthy so that they could be at their best for the U.S. Open because it's a major, it is a big event. So make sure you tune in to watch that here live on FloBowling as Kris Prather flirts with the gutter and gets it back for the strike here in the second frame.
Yeah, he's using a daredevil trick, and that was the ball that he was planning on using. If he was going to play fairly straight, that's what he's going to do. If he has to jump in a little bit, he'll go to a bigger ball as well, like an Alpha Crux or a Physics. And that would be to jump in there where Andrew's at. Big shot here. See if that one in the ninth was a one-off, or can he make it do it every time now?
It looks like he's a little more direct on that right lane.
Everybody is because of how much tighter it is down lane.
Yeah.
But what he's done is he's right, but also rolling it more on that lane where he's getting around it a little bit more on the left lane.
I think people who watch at home and don't necessarily get to watch you guys bowl in person, it's hard to really appreciate the kind of small tricks that you do with your wrists and your releases and the ball speed to really get the ball to do what you want to do. It's pretty amazing some of the stuff that you guys can do with a bowling ball.
Yeah, it's about an 8 to 10 degree change in axis rotation, which is more of a feel play. Where he's at in there, he's grabbing at it a little bit more up the back of it, making sure it gets started, and it's part of the maturation process for a young player, and he's getting there quickly.
Yeah, that's one of the big differences between those who are great are good and those who are great. And Andrew gets that one out. It looks like they're starting to pitch it more and more toward the edge of the lane there, 1-2 board. And with success, it's a triple to start for Anderson.
Well, they're feeling that friction in the front, which is making them feel like they're moving left and not really moving their eyes. But then once you get through that early spot in the front, then it's pushing an extra 3 feet, 4 feet further. Fortunately, in that left lane, it still makes it back. That's the difference between the left lane and the right lane. It won't make it back on the right lane if you get it there.
Looks like a pretty decent shot there out of Prather as he gets the 8-pin to carry that time. Not uncommon, not that I want to jinx anybody here, but when we get to this point where you're pitching it, left to right toward the gutter, it's not uncommon to see players throw gutter balls on this pattern. It happened quite a bit this week so far.
There was a ton of them. There's not a lot of hook off of one. Like Prather actually did get it going to the right and got it further right than almost anybody else, but he got it there early enough with the ball that rolled soon enough that it came off of it. If he gets it there 3-4 feet later, it goes in.
All right, here's Prather working on the double, looking to turn it into a triple, and he gets it out there with the strike. And we're going to head down to Phil Brylow, lane side, with Tommy Jones.
Tommy, it was a lot of work out there tonight to stay clean. You were doing a good job till all of a sudden it looked like that left lane just transitioned in a weird way for you.
Yeah, we've been using urethane through both of the qualifying blocks for 2, maybe 3 games, and it just seemed like with the practice and the rev rate and the guys that we only got 1 game out of it, and I should have got out of it and switched to the reactive ball, and just didn't pull the trigger fast enough and missed a spare. And Andrew's bowling one of the best this year, or bowling the best this year so far, leading the points. You can't do that against a guy of his caliber.
No doubt about it. But a long week here left in Tulsa. Good luck to you the rest of the way.
Thank you, sir.
And Andrew with the trip 9-pin on that for the front 4. And Tommy said exactly what we thought. He actually wished he would have gotten out of that urethane even a little bit earlier. But the way he finished that match, it was hard. The first match, it was hard for him to get out of it. He was kind of stuck, I think.
Yeah.
There's another strike for Andrew Anderson, showing why he is, I would say, the odds-on favorite right now for PBA Player of the Year. He's got the front 5 now. He's got a couple of titles, and he is right now the leader on the points list.
Yeah, I saw both shots actually hooked a little bit more. He's going to have to make a little bit of a move. Got 2 guys throwing reactives now. They got some surface on them. They're going to start chewing up the front of the lane. And actually the mid lane also, whereas opposed to the urethane was just taking it off the front and putting it in the back.
Prather. Oh,
No.
another 8-pin.
Oh,
that is 2 8-pins on that right lane. And an unbelievably bad break for Prather. That is absolutely brutal. Tough enough bowling for, to try to win your first title, but when you get bad breaks like that, it just stings.
There's nothing you can do. It's a perfect shot. Watch this one. Watch the 5-pin. Just gets chopped straight back.
Yeah. He picks up the spare. I mean, Kris, ideally you want the ball to split the 8-9, right? To go right through it to take that out of play. But that was not that bad of a shot.
Oh, no. There's nothing bad about that one at all. It's basically a pin getting back to the 5-pin before the ball and getting shoved back behind it. Incredibly bad luck. It's terrible luck to have it happen once and twice in a match where both guys seem to be pretty well lined up and kind of got them figured out right now. Games 3 and 4 is when some of the biggest scores happened as guys got transitioned into the right pairs and in the right balls.
It looks like Prather has got the right ball. He's got the right look. And he very easily could have the front 6 in this match.
Maybe one of the things this will work into, though, is that now it's not pressure. You can work this into feeling like, hey, they owe me. You can make yourself a little mad, chase away some of the nerves, and get really super aggressive right here, and keep a lot of pressure on.
Andrew Anderson, front 5.
Ooh.
That one wiggled a little right, comes up light and hits it and
You
carries.
can visibly see that ball slow down and then speed up and then try and make it back again.
You noticed that in practice, too, before we even came on air, that happened to Andrew specifically on that right lane.
Watch. here, there.
Yeah.
At 25 feet, it was slowing down and starting to go, and then it lost all its traction. I mean, literally hydroplaned for about 3 feet, 4 feet. Very fortunate that made it back.
Can he make it? 7. Yes, he can. Andrew Anderson making the Wolf pattern look easy here in the semifinal. 7 in a row.
Well, my fellow Shocker alum is certainly up against the 8 ball now. Andrew grabbed his ball.
Yeah, maybe
Could
get
use
some
some
tape or something? I don't know. Prather with the little hip wiggle there before he tosses this. If he leaves an 8-pin, he may not come back tomorrow. All right, no 8-pin on that shot. Gets the strike.
He gets one of them back there because that hit in the half 10 spot on that lane, and he got one break back. Well,
But
although
still,
I imagine he wouldn't have minded having a spare 5-bagger before it happened.
yeah. Still a 31-pin deficit for Prather now.
Still
after
269.
Yep, he's still not out of this by any means.
Anderson's on a 250, 250 and change pace. So,
But every strike critical now here for Prather as he tries to make a comeback and leaves a brutal 10-pin in the 8th.
a helpless feeling, where he's really executed everything you can execute here. He's thrown 8 great shots. He knows, and he knew that was a great shot off his hand. 2 stone 8s and a ring 10. His worst shot is a half pocket kind of. He snapped the 10 out on the lane where guys haven't been able to get it out. He's bowled a fantastic game now. At this point, where 248 is his max score, Andrew Anderson needs 3 marks.
Yeah, stay clean, and he's in good shape. So here's Andrew Anderson, 8th frame, front 7. Looking to stay perfect. The messenger tomahawks across and takes out the 10. What a big break there for Andrew Anderson. Wow, not much you can say about that, huh?
The head pin came back across, and it hit.
Look at the quick reaction there out of Andrew.
Yeah, he thought he left a 10-pin there for sure. I'm pretty sure that was like the 5-pin that was still sitting there. The head pin came across and knocked the 5 into the.
So here we go. Another strike, front 9 now for Anderson, and he will advance to the championship match against Anthony Simonsen. But some work to be done here. We won't talk about it, but some exciting moves left here in this game. As Andrew looks really loose right now, and he should be. He's got 9 strikes in a row. And talk about tough luck for Kris Prather. He has bowled a pretty solid game. It doesn't matter now, so you can kind of disregard that shot. But Kris, is it tougher to lose when you've made great shots like that and haven't carried versus just bowling bad?
It's different. There's disappointment. You look back, you go, I could have done this. I could have done this. I should have. Like Tommy, I could have got out of that ball sooner. I could have done, some things. This is really, like I said, it's kind of helpless because you go, well, I don't know what I would have done different. I threw those first 8 shots. He threw them where he wanted to. They all got to the right spot. He didn't miss it. There were any faulty shots there, and he was shut out.
It's really hard to second guess yourself when you have made quality shots and you just didn't get the breaks. It's not like he's coming up light and leaving 2 pins or 2 10s or, this is quality shots, quality game, and he's bowled a good game, and it's just not going to be enough.
I felt like that was one of my strengths. Is even if I lost on TV or if I lost some, but there was something to learn. You figure out what to learn. But there's a few games that were like that where you just go, they just didn't leave me any room, I 10-pinned in the second frame and I was shut out.
Well, Prather is going to lose here in the semifinal, finished third, and that matches his best finish in a PBA event. He finished third at the Extra Frame Parkside Lanes Open in 2016. So he had a very good start to this season. So Prather's on his way to potentially, one day winning his first title. I don't think it'll be long. But here's Andrew
Kris
Anderson.
is a very good bowler, that's for sure. He finished sixth in this tournament 2 years ago. Here we go.
Andrew Anderson, front 9.
Number 10.
Comes up light and mixes it for the strike. And he can't believe he's carried 10 strikes in a row.
That one went by it too. And went by it, I mean, went back by the break point. Got a little bit too long.
So lots of drama here in our semi-final. Andrew Anderson, 10 in a row. Looking to make it 11. Gets the strike again, and Andrew Anderson is just,
really
it seems like he hits the 1-3 pocket, and no matter how or why, he carries. It's just everything's going his way this game, and the opportunity here for a little bit of a magic moment for Andrew Anderson.
When there's money on the line, I like this one to strike. But at this point, you almost wanted to.
Here we go. Last shot for 300. Oh, he yanks it through the face for the 3-6-10 and 297. Andrew Anderson, 297, 227. Your winner here in the semifinal, and I'm sure he'd like to have that shot back. But in reality, it doesn't really matter that much. It would have been fun to see, but Andrew probably needs to wind down now and get ready for that championship match. Sometimes bowling a 300 can actually amp you up a little bit too much.
Yeah, your adrenaline gets flown a little bit too high, and then you come off of it while you're waiting in between, and then the most common thing is the next shot goes high.
All right, we're going to go down to Phil Brylow lane side with Andrew Anderson.
Andrew, hell of a run.
Yeah.
12th ball, a little bit high. That one just kind of creep out of your hand a little off, or
this wasn't my best shot of that game for sure. I have quite a few boards out there, and to hit the one I can't strike at isn't very good. But it might be a blessing in disguise. Calm the nerves down before the next game and bowl for a title. So.
What are you seeing develop out there between the left lane and the right lane? We're far enough away. You're not giving anything away to Simonsen, so.
Right lane started way tighter, and now it's fucking 4 more. So, big flip flop there. Him having me finish on the right lane, I wasn't too mad about it because I saw it developing, and Simon's gonna be tough, so he's gonna figure it out pretty quick.
Take a couple minutes, take a couple of breaths. Good luck to you in the championship match.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Phil, for bringing in Andrew Anderson. We hadn't planned to talk to Andrew, or the winner of that match, but that's the great thing about FloBowling and some of the things that we can do here. It's easy to call an audible, and in a big moment like that, we can get some instant reaction from Andrew Anderson before he bowls in the championship match here against Anthony Simonsen. Is Simonsen on the lanes now for a little bit of practice. And when we come back here in just a minute or so, our championship match, Andrew Anderson taking on top seed Anthony Simonsen here in Owasso, Oklahoma. All right, welcome back inside the lanes at Coffee Creek. Lucas Wiseman alongside Kris Barnes. We wait for our championship match to start here in just a couple of minutes. Kris is giving me a hard time. I forgot the PBA Hall of Famer, Kris Barnes. And Kris, I'm going to let you talk about our trivia question and what the correct answer was. Do you know who won the Elias Cup, Kris?
I do have an idea.
You do?
I do. A couple of those teams, it was not a striking day. There was not enough muscle. and the hitmen had the roles reversed. So it was the 3-time Elias Cup champion, Silver Lake Atom Splitters.
And you're pretty familiar with that team, right?
I've been on that team every year since its inception. So
No coincidence that it is a multiple-time champion of the Elias Cup.
I've become a good jockey. That's right.
So we're just finishing up our practice here with Anthony Simonsen.
Simon's a little further to the right, and it'd be interesting to see what he decides to do. I think if he stays to the right, I think Andrew's going to be really tough to beat.
Does that surprise you at all that Simonsen would try to be right of Andrew?
Not necessarily. Did just throw one in the gutter too, so his ball's not really picking up off the spot. It's not exactly peeling off of it. But like I say, you're going to go with what got you there for the most part. And at this point, we're really in like game 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Even though there's only 2 on a lane versus the 4 that there was in qualifying, the amount of rev rate, the repeatability, and the guys playing the same part of the lane is basically equaling out to almost the same amount of play as when there was 4 on the pair. So you saw Tommy thinking he would probably get 2 games, maybe even a third game, and he only got halfway through the 2.
All right, we're going to send it down to Phil Brylow with Tom Clark now.
With me, Commissioner of the PBA, Tom Clark, and Tom, a lot of excitement from Andrew Anderson, that semifinal match, and if he would have actually shot that 300, there would have been a little bit of a bonus for him.
Yeah, we were going to give him a $1,000 bonus. You know, we have a $10,000 bonus for televised 300s in any match on TV. And then we have now a new $1 million for a 300 in the championship match of 4 different events next year. But for these FloBowling and extra frame events, in the finals of any show, it will be $1,000. I don't think Andrew knew. Maybe he would have done it then. We were rooting for him, though.
Well, thanks for everything, Tom, and everybody remember, hashtag Chasing 300.
Chasing 300, yeah, cool. This will be a great final. I'm really excited to watch this match.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
All right, Tom Clark with Phil Brylow there talking about the fact that there was some money on the line. Nobody really knew it, but $1,000 for a 300 game here in the Stepladder finals, which is, that's not nothing. That's, it's not $1 million like we're going to see next year. And if you want more information on that, FloBowling.com. We had an interview with Tom Clark yesterday talking about that new $1 million prize for bowling a 300 game in 4 particular events next year. So be sure to check out FloBowling.com. You should be on FloBowling.com all the time anyways when you're not watching the live streaming. We've got lots of great written and video content on there, as well as podcasts and all kinds of great stuff, both free and premium. If you're watching this, obviously you're a subscriber, but lots of great content there for you on FloBowling.com. Want that to be the website that you bookmark and add to your home screen whenever you're looking for PBA news. And here is Simonsen starting the match on the left lane.
That still surprised me. I was surprised what Andrew said. He's 12 for 12 on the left lane.
Yeah.
And he struck a lot on the right lane, but none of them looked like they were going to be strikes. He's moved in there and grabbed it, kind of got it to pick up and kind of lay there the right way, but it doesn't go through the pins the same way on this right lane as the left lane.
So Anderson with a messenger across in front of the 10. That's exactly what you were saying, Kris.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad he's happy with it for his sake. But yeah, that's it.
So we're early here in our championship match. Kris, what do you think about the way that Simonsen is approaching the lanes as compared to Anderson? Do we have any idea of what what we might see here?
He did switch to an alpha crux, which means he's going to move in and circle the lane as well. The shots that we saw from the right during the practice, he's opted away from that. It seems.
And Andrew seems to be kind of just continuing. You shoot 297. What are you going to do? You're not going to do much.
He's going to keep migrating, is what he's going to do. So.
Great shot here.
That's a cool
from
camera
our production
angle.
crew.
Yeah.
Nice camera angle, lane right down the lane, so you can see the ball move and strike there for Andrew. Anthony Simonsen second frame, working on a strike, our championship match here at the FloBowling PBA Wolf Open. Simonsen, the double-hander, delivers the double.
Pretty solid right there. He, whatever was going on there in practice, he figured out what not to do.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes that's more important than figuring out what to do in practice.
It has a lot to do with success sometimes.
And I think it's appropriate that this match has come down to Simonsen against Anderson, because they are both sort of the two players that we talked about being in the mix for PBA Player of the Year. And when it's kind of close like it is now, an event like this could push the tide in one of their favors, as Anthony gets a little kick from both sides on that 10-pin and brushes it off. But Anthony Simonsen currently third on the PBA Tour points list, and he won the Gene Carter Pro Shop Classic in a fashion that many of you watched here on FloBowling were throwing a backup ball. And so Andrew Anderson suddenly finds himself down by 10, 20 actually, and that ball gets way right, but does manage to carry. And we're going to go down lane side to Phil Brylow.
Kris, you were throwing a heck of a game. You get up at the fifth frame, and you just leave another stone 8-pin. A lot of players would have lost at that point in time, but you look pretty composed. What was going through your mind at that point in time?
Yeah, I'm not going to say I wasn't frustrated, because I was, but all I can do is throw a good shot, and if the pins don't fall, the pins don't fall. You know, it's kind of hard to beat a guy that doesn't miss.
And with everything going on with the fall and swing and stuff, you got yourself in great position for the rest of the way through. Good luck on the way out.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Phil. And obviously a little disappointed there from Kris Prather, but no reason to hold his head low. He performed well and just ran into a buzzsaw. That is Andrew Anderson today, and that continues here as Anderson with another strike for 3 in a row.
Yeah, great performance by Kris. That's one to look back on and think that you could probably win that match 9 times out of 10.
And Kris, this is shaping up to be a high-scoring championship match the way things are going, as Simonsen now with the front 4 and a 10-pin lead. We saw Andrew Anderson 297 in the semifinal. Does it look like this pair might be opening up a little bit for these guys, throwing the urethane and pitching it right?
I think the lack of traffic, and guys throwing at different places, the group has pretty much been on top of each other from Tang and Tommy on, where they've played in basically the same areas. They've migrated along to each other, left along with each other, and so the lines are pretty consistent.
And I meant to say throwing the reactive and pitching it right. As we look at Simonsen, gets the strike again. His ball reaction is looking pretty stellar, just like Andrew's is.
That got right and got a little right and long, which has been trouble. You can get it right early. If it doesn't go in, then most of the time it's in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
But
when you see that shot come back, are you kind of licking your chops as a competitor?
You're feeling like you're probably in pretty good shape now.
So a lot of pressure now on Anderson, who hasn't missed much in this stepladder, but needs to keep going, and he does. He's hanging in there, still down by 10.
By 10.
This match is going quick, isn't it? When you throw that many strikes in 5 frames, it goes really fast.
Yeah, I never bowled this fast because I kept having to shoot spares, but potential score 300 to 290. This is
and there's nothing to delay them, unlike on an ESPN broadcast or Fox broadcast. There's no break here. We bowl through on FloBowling, and so this match is going to continue at a pretty quick pace. Neither of these guys is particularly slow either. And look at the crossover on a really bad shot there by Andrew Anderson, and he knows it. Worst shot of the day for Anderson.
And honestly, it's not that bad, but this pattern, when you're playing like that, will make you look, oh no.
Yeah, you can see, oh no. Yeah, he knew.
He almost got away with that. That was, but once it picks up going across there, it's, oh.
And I will say that in the last game of qualifying today, Andrew was on the receiving end of a couple of key Brooklyns that really helped push him in. He had a Brooklyn on a double or a triple in the middle of that last game, and then ended up with a Brooklyn on his second shot in the 10th for a double in that last game. So it happens. And on this pattern, like you said, Kris, you don't have to miss by too much left, and it's going to take off.
No, the middle of the pattern is still very short. The spot right of 10 has gotten much longer, but, you know. Now, what you said about Anthony earlier was spot on. He has been the picture of consistency this year.
He has not finished lower than 35th in any event this season, and that's a pretty spectacular record.
That's pretty strong. That's being in the hunt week in, week out, whether it's short pattern, long pattern.
And he looks pretty solid here, front six for Simonsen. And honestly, Kris, I don't think either of us expected to see scores this high in this step ladder.
No, it's, Lane Talk stats proved it was the lowest scoring pattern pair by far. And with Urethane going early and
that one.
Urethane and rev rate normally is a pretty tricky combination later on as the other players follow it, and that it's not proven to be the case.
That one looked like it just kind of hooked it even a little early on Anthony, and it goes through the face, and it looks like a 3, 6, 9, 10. It's hard to tell if the 9 pin is there. Lane Talk is showing a 6 count, so that is a tough spare.
It's no bargain on 33 feet.
On any pattern.
It's actually really hard to get it far enough right, and then
he gets it done.
Wow, nice job.
Covers it up, but
that's a 50-50. That's an even money spare, even for these guys. As good as they are, well, there's a little bit of hope there because he gets the count advantage back. Anthony's on 276 max score. Andrew on 269. Steps up and throws a double here, and we tighten things up really quickly.
Chance to get it to single digits if he can get a double. And it's like similar look to what we saw with Tommy Jones earlier with the 4-10. The 4 goes out again. It's not exactly the same, but kind of a similar.
Just a little light shaker. A little shaker 10 pin, and then the 4. He's sticking around for way longer than anybody wants to see.
Really could have used a strike right there, though. He gets the spare, down by 18.
It's his max at 258. So he's going to need Anthony to miss neither the 9th or the 10th. Key frame here, strike in the 8th. Make sure you got your move. Resettle after the Brooklyn shot.
Yep.
So you're ready for the 10th frame.
So here we go, 8th frame, working on a spare. Like a better shot as the pin cartwheels in front of the 9. Ball just drove a little bit too hard past that 9 pin.
One of the most frustrating parts here, because had he thrown it good in the 6th, he would know he would have seen something that probably would have led him to make that move there. And so by making a bad one in the 6th, you also end up missing a move.
Covers it up, but
he's going to need help now.
He's going to need, exactly. He's going to need a little bit of help after 3 9 spares in a row, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Only a couple of frames to go here.
Anthony does still need a double, though. He's on a 246 pace. He can max out at 276, but if he doesn't throw a double anywhere, he's going to be in the 240s if he's clean, which allows Andrew a chance to strike out. He's still got the count advantage, so this one's, we're not done yet.
Simonsen can't add to his lead here, but he can lose a little bit off his lead, and he does with the count. A 2-4-8 is the lead for Simonsen.
Now we're seeing some of the tricky parts.
It was
hook in the front.
Yep.
Now that spot where all that carry down happened, the urethane in between the 6th and 9 board down there, it's still there. He didn't get that one all the way to the right, and it got stuck in the middle and just hydroplaned at the back of the lane.
Little tricky spare here.
Careful.
And he misses it. The ball takes off on that 33-foot pattern and slices right past and misses that spare.
Now
Leaves
we
the
have
8-pin.
a 5-pin game.
Isn't it crazy how just, 3 frames ago, Kris, we're talking about how high scoring the match is, and it can it can switch that quick.
Well, I felt it switched that quick a couple of
Yeah,
times.
I bet you did.
Had about
Your
a
glasses
15
felt
frame,
it also.
15 frame run where I didn't miss, and then 3 frames later I shoot 150 the next game, and I couldn't hit the one in the front. Whoa. He got that one all the way to it.
And he gets the strike, which sets him up for the 10th. Max score for Simonsen, 252. Andrew Anderson can strike out for 247.
Big shot there because he still controls his own destiny no matter what.
But you could see the shadow of the ball in the gutter as it crept close. It was really close.
Once it gets right of 5, it accelerates for a little bit out there when it loses traction. It's almost like it gets out of the wear and tear of where the league bowlers and other players play, and then it gets up onto a fresh part, and it skids a little bit longer before it comes back.
So this is a critical 9th and 10th frame coming up for Andrew Anderson. He needs to put some strikes on the board here to put the pressure on Anthony Simonsen. 9th frame, working on a spare. Pretty solid shot, and the messenger tomahawks across and takes out the 10 on a critical strike there for Andrew Anderson, setting himself up for the 10th frame.
A good reaction here. It's a really good shot. He knows he needs it.
See Andrew's reaction to his messenger. Oh yeah, slaps it out. A little excitement there, and he knows that was a big one.
Now he needs this one to force Anthony. Basically, Anthony now has to match him.
That's right. So this is a critical shot here for Anderson if he wants to win this title. It would be his 3rd title of the season. For a double, and the lead. Ooh. And the pin rolls on the deck in front of the 10, and Andrew Anderson knows he is in big trouble now. Tough break there for Anderson. Now Anthony Simonsen knows what he needs to do for the most part here, and easier said than done because Simonsen just opened on that right lane moments ago.
Yep.
And he's going to need a mark.
He's going to need
and count.
Mark and 6.
Yep.
Or a strike on the first ball. So, pretty good shot by Andrew, knowing all the things that are going through in his head. Player of the Year is a big thing on his mind.
Yep.
It's a big goal. It's following him everywhere, including the European tournaments. I think it played a part in a little, struggled a little bit over there and chasing those tournaments around. And
Andrew may feel like if he loses this by 4 pins that it got away from him a little bit. He probably would want that one shot back that crossed over.
Maybe that one.
You know, but
you go 9 pin, you make a little move, and then you're shaker 10. He's also feeling like, hey, what do I got to do here?
Right, exactly. And meanwhile, Simonsen last time on this lane came up light and left a 2-4-8, which he missed. And when you only need a mark, it sometimes can be tough to get it done. So let's see what Simonsen does. A strike, and he's the winner. And Simonsen with a perfect strike in the 10th to secure the title here in Owasso, Oklahoma. He is your winner at the FloBowling PBA Wolf Open. 2nd title of the season for Anthony Simonsen as he puts his name into the mix for PBA Player of the Year. And a disappointed Andrew Anderson, who knows that that Player of the Year race just got a little bit tighter with a Simonsen victory. We talked about it on FloBowling.com before this week and said that Simonsen needed to find a way to get a win, and there's a 210 on the 2nd shot in the 10th. Easily could have been one frame, one shot earlier, right, Kris?
I'm sure Andrew was looking at it that way. But Anthony's a great action guy, not afraid to bowl for any amount, and showed it there with it all on the line. He threw it about as good as you can throw it.
So Anthony Simonsen wins 239 to 226 in an action-packed, exciting Stepladder Finals here live on FloBowling. What a Stepladder Finals. We had a little bit of everything in this Stepladder. We had 297 out of Andrew Anderson, and then we thought it was going to be a very high-scoring championship match. It ended up still being a pretty decent scoring match, 239, 226, but they both kind of cooled off down the stretch. and Simonsen just was able to pull it out. And we're going to go down to Phil Brylow here with Anthony Simonsen.
Anthony, after 4 games earlier in this event, you were kind of just treading water. Nothing really going else in Game 5, Game 6 of the first day of qualifying. 280, 270 back-to-back, and then nothing under 224 today, including this championship match. What was the big key to get those higher scores on the board?
Talking to Mike Devaney, Game 4, I was hitting the pocket, but I wasn't really stringing strikes. I suggested a ball change, tried it on the field ball that game, and that's been the ball. Once I've gotten out of reactive, I've gone into that, and it's given me the best look all around.
And now you've had some great results overseas all season long. Didn't take home any championships overseas, but you won earlier this year, Gene Carter Pro Shop Classic in Delaware. Got yourself the championship with a backup ball there. Now title number 2 here in Owasso, Oklahoma. Do we have to throw your name in that Player of the Year hat now? I kind of think so.
There's a lot of events left, or a couple events left. See what happens down the end of the road. A few people with 2 titles, but there's a couple more events to let the season unfold the way it should be.
Now, what do you do to let the batteries recharge? It's a short turnaround. You're back first thing tomorrow, PBA Bear Open qualifying. What's the game plan getting into the Bear?
Thankfully we're on B squad, so I get to sleep in again. That'll kind of be the plan. Just rest up. I wasn't able to be here for practice, so I'll get in and watch a little bit of A squad, and we'll start a new tournament tomorrow.
Good luck the rest of the way out. And here's your Wolf champion, Anthony Simonsen. Awesome job again.
Want to sleep in?
All right, Anthony Simonsen, your winner. Thanks to Phil Brylow for that interview. Looks like Kirk Von Kruger going to do our trophy presentation with Tom Clark out there. He's going to get that trophy, that check, $10,000. And we'll go down to Kirk Von Kruger for the presentation.
Association, Mr. Tom Clark.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to everybody that came out tonight. And thank you, Joe. Thank you to the Lanes at Coffee Creek for hosting us. And thanks to FloBowling for all they're doing for the PBA and for being the title sponsor of this great event. We got a lot more bowling left this week right here in this building. Another tournament just like this one with the finals on Thursday night, and then Saturday the finals of the Tulsa Open. So I hope everybody keeps coming by. I don't know how you wouldn't want to keep coming when you see a show like that. Almost a 300. Get to the championship match, and you have 2 of the great young players in the sport and a great champion, Anthony Simonsen. Congratulations.
Thank you, Tom. Joe Sparks. It was great 13 years ago. It's been great so far this time. Do you have something you want to say to Mr. Simonsen here? Maybe give him a little scratch?
Hi, Anthony. On behalf of everyone here at the Lanes at Coffee Creek, we would happy to present a first place check of $10,000 to you. Great bowling this one. That's it.
Thank you. Anthony, any final words to our fans here in Tulsa as well as those at home?
We'll see you tomorrow. There's lots of action. I'm ready to get back on the lanes.
Well said, Anthony. As he says, 2 more titles up for grabs, a lot going on. The U.S. Open next week. Please come back and join us. Stepladder finals for the Bear Open on Thursday, followed by the culminating championship stepladder finals for the Tulsa Open on Saturday. A lot of great bowling left. Please come back and see us tomorrow. Good night, everybody.